All right, we're getting pretty close here. So the next couple steps, it may seem like, why are we doing this? I don't understand, and it's okay for you to. You'll just have to trust me. I know that's hard sometimes, but you're gonna trust me and just kind of follow along. And in the long run, it'll work out just great. So our one of our steps now is that we are going to pull up. So I just made everything invisible on the side. I'm going to pull up my just straight up white text layer. I'm going to go up to the top, go to select color range. Okay, and I'm going to get that white color range again. Depending on the size of your text, you might have to adjust your fuzziness just a little bit to make sure. If you have really tiny text, sometimes it won't grab it right away. So you can adjust your fuzziness, and if more stuff kind of shows up in there, great. And if not, then 0 probably works just great for you too. Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK. At this point, you can see all of my white text is selected. I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm going to switch to black color, and I'm going to bring my brush size really, really big. So I'm going to hit the right bracket. You can see it gets bigger and bigger. I'm going to make sure my opacity is at 100, my mode's at normal, and I'm actually just going to paint in all of this text. So now, because I want black text now. Okay, now that's all black, I'm going to hit Command D, or you can go up to select, deselect, which is the same thing, Command D. Cool, so now my text is all black. At this point, we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, because we want our text to be blurry at this point. 10 works pretty well. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to make that layer invisible. Now I'm going to go to my black and white version of my head, which you should have done a while ago. At this point, you got a couple options. If it's all pretty monotone, all like pretty similar shades of gray, you can go and do mode. Oops, sorry. Make sure you're on the right layer by make sure that that layer is lit up blue. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments. I'm going to go to Levels, because I want to kind of make my darks a little darker, my light's a little lighter, so there's a little more contrast in there. So that works. That's pretty good for me. I just want to have kind of more contrast. So I'm hit OK. Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Okay. So with this, we're going to try to make it blurry enough that I can still kind of see my features. They kind of, I can see the edges of stuff, but it's still pretty blurry. So that's pretty good for me. So that's 24. On yours, it might be a little bit different depending on a bunch of variables. But if you look at the image, that's kind of what we're shooting for there. So hit OK. Now at this point, I'm going to go to File. This part's important. Save As. I'm going to make sure I check where I'm saving it. I'm saving it on the desktop. Nelson Text Portrait. I'm going to switch it to BW for black and white. Hit Save. And I want to make sure I save it as a Photoshop format. Hit Save. Oh, I already did one of these, so I'm just going to make sure I hit. Oh, geez. Okay, so I got to close this one because I have it up there already. So let's try that again. File, Save As, BW for black and white. Hit Save, Replace. Look at that, it worked that time. Okay, so now I'm going to go back up to my blurry text layer. Filter, nope. I gotta make sure I'm on the layer again. I did the same problem as before. Filter, blur, lied, filter, distort, displace. 10, 10. I'm gonna switch this to tile. Hit OK. And then you're gonna find that black and white layer that we just made, that blurry black and white layer. Oh, there it is. Hit open. Okay, so it may not look like it did much, but what it did, this is what it did. So you can see in this section here, it's a little more like curved and rounded and weird. Okay, so essentially what we just did is that we made our blurry layer and our text layer and our kind of like a map. Okay, that blurry image of myself, you can see there's kind of like an outline now. So what this is doing, it's creating more depth into my picture, as you'll see in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to pull up my other layers. Let's see, so I got this layer, and I have that layer. I'm going to go to, on this blurry, weird text layer, I'm going to go to normal, overlay. So you can see now there's a lot more depth happening in there. The other thing I need to do, because you can see all that blurry outline text stuff is still there, just like our other text layer, I'm going to make a mask layer. So I have my group 1 blurry text layer. I'm going to go to select, load selection, Nelson outline, or whatever you ended up calling yours. All right. Mask mode. Now all that stuff's gone. Okay. Let's see. I think we only have like one more step. So we're going to go to our background layer. Make sure you actually click on it to turn it blue, or the light blue. And I'm actually going to fill in my background layer black. All right, so I'm going to go to my paint bucket. Right, so it's either going to be paint bucket or the gradient tool that you see. So I want to go to paint bucket, make sure it's black. I hit that black. Okay, so at this point we're pretty close to being done. Okay, there's a couple things that we need to do. So we're going to go, for me, I'm going to go to that blurry text layer. I'm just going to kind of adjust the opacity. For some reason my opacity bar has kind of disappeared. So can we do it here? There we go. So I can change my opacity a little bit. Oh, no, I lied. I got to do it down here. So I'm going to change my opacity. Right, I'm just trying to get like a happy medium to it. I'm going to check this layer out. Maybe I might adjust this opacity a little bit. Right, the idea is I'm trying to get as much depth as possible. At this point, we're pretty close. You can do a couple additional options if you want. And we'll kind of cover that in the next video.